Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us here on the Statewide Noon News. I'm Samantha Sullivan. The partial government shutdown is into its second month and shows no signs of ending anytime soon. Nicole Killian has the latest.
The Senate is prepared to vote tomorrow on two separate bills to reopen the government.
The opportunity to end all this is staring us right in the face. That's why we'll vote on this legislation on the Senate floor this week.
One is built around President Trump's proposal to get $5.7 billion for a border wall in exchange for temporary protections for immigrants brought to the U.S. as children. The other is a bill House Democrats passed to fund the government through February 8th without money for the wall.
It will allow us to then debate without hostage taking, without temper tantrum, without anything, how we can best do border security.
Neither bill is expected to pass, and neither side is showing any signs it's willing to compromise to end the 33-day partial government shutdown. 71% of Americans in the latest CBS News poll say the border wall is not worth a government shutdown.
Remind each senator of the words of Jesus of Nazareth in Luke 10:7, those who work deserve their pay.
The CBS News poll shows 65% of Republicans say President Trump should not sign any budget that doesn't include wall funding, while 69% of Democrats say Congress should refuse to fund the wall. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Federal workers furloughed due to the government shutdown can now apply for federal WIC benefits. WIC, or the Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, is designed for lower-income women who are pregnant or have young children. Benefits include nutrition assessments, access to health programs, food vouchers, and breastfeeding education. Turning now to court news, the Missoula YMCA daycare worker accused of smoking meth while at work has pleaded guilty to 3 different felonies. In April, a co-worker told police she found 30-year-old Autumn Hines in a cabinet with what she believed to be meth. The daycare building was then tested and results found positive for meth residue. Hines had attempted to conceal smoking methamphetamine by blowing it in vent fans, which instead spread the residue throughout the entire building. The contaminated facility was gutted and underwent an estimated $100,000 in renovations. Hines admitted in court Tuesday she knew what she was doing was putting the children in danger.
Now, as I recall, you had some kind of a cubby hole under a counter or something?
Yes.
Are you aware that methamphetamine fumes can be very harmful to people, including children?
Yes, sir.
You chose to do this anyway,
Yes, sir.
knowing the risk to them?
Yes, sir.
Her sentencing is scheduled for February 26th. And now we'll take a break and turn things over to Ed in the Weather Center. Ed, it's a bit of a snowy morning out there.
Yeah, we're starting to see that more and more across the region, especially in the central and western portions of the state, and it's moving towards the east. A shot out towards Missoula here this hour, 29 degrees with the snow showers that started early in the day today. Here's a look out towards Butte, also with temperatures hovering right around freezing. That produces a little bit of that heavier snow, a little bigger flakes. Temperatures also in Great Falls right around that same reading with the snow showers since this morning. And here's a look out around the Billings area right now where it's kind of a wet snow and it'll turn a little more powdery as the day goes on. Now, Helena, this was yesterday afternoon. Here's the same shot just a short time ago. Temperatures again right in the low 30s with snow showers. We'll take a closer look at the forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ed. Now we go to the western side of the state where new numbers show Kalispell is the safest town in Montana. This is according to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report statistics. Kalispell was selected from a total of more than 7,000 cities that were studied. Last year, Kalispell had only 72 violent crimes, which breaks down to 3 per every 1,000 people. The FBI classifies these crimes as murder, manslaughter, rape, robbery, and/or aggravated assault. Compare this to Billings, which had about 550 violent crimes reported. Bozeman, Helena, Great Falls, Missoula, and Billings followed Kalispell on that list. But of course, Kalispell isn't the only safe city in Montana. MTN's Emma Hamilton takes a closer look at the city of Bozeman's crime rates to find out how they stack up.
As Bozeman continues to grow more and more each day, growth typically equals a higher crime rate. But that's not the case for this city.
I think that it's a result of the hard work of the men and women that work to keep Bozeman safe, as well as our partnership with the community. And so we've got alert citizens that are calling in when they see something that doesn't look right. And we work closely to try and resolve public safety issues. And so I think it's a result of that.
It's not only the police force enforcing, but it's also our community members looking after one another that also contribute to what I see as a really safe community, one that I feel comfortable raising my children in and allowing them to travel around the community without constant supervision.
Having a safe community is something that's attractive for people moving to Bozeman.
Public safety is important. It's a critical function of government. We take it very seriously. And it translates into an improved quality of life, a safer place to work, play, live, and recreate. And I think that it contributes to the overall, quality of life, growth, and kind of prosperity that Bozeman is experiencing.
Thanks, Emma. And before we take a break this Wednesday, 153,000 acres were burned, more than 13,000 homes gone, and 86 lives lost. These are the devastating numbers from last year's Camp Fire in Northern California. 14,000 families were impacted. Many of these people were employees of the nearby brewery Sierra Nevada. As the fire continued to destroy, Sierra Nevada started to rebuild, and they asked every brewery in the nation to join them. As MTN's Kent Lutzen reports, Montana's beer community has answered in a big way.
Northern California's Camp Fire is the deadliest in state history. The flames devastated parts of Butte County, California, also home to Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. John Sandin, an employer with the company, says many of his co-workers' lives were changed the day this fire started.
A bunch of our employees that work at the brewery in Chico lived in Paradise, and the whole town of Paradise is no longer here. Well over 50 of our employees lost their whole home, everything.
While the fire burned, Sierra Nevada opened their doors. They offered shelter, fed victims, and donated clothes. Days later, the company started a much bigger relief effort. Brewery founder Ken Grossman asked every brewery in the nation for help. 1,500 companies, including 7 from Montana, answered that call.
The fact that it was just so reactionary to the point where this happened, all right, what are we going to do? All right, let's go, let's make it happen. Initially, our owner said he'd be happy if 200 breweries signed up for it, and he got almost 1,500. So just to see that response from this speaks a lot to not only the community, but the brewing industry as a whole.
Sierra Nevada asked the breweries to make their own Resilience Butte County Proud IPA, using Sierra Nevada's recipe. Kettle House, Great Burn, Higher Ground Brewing, Lewis and Clark Brewing, Bozeman Brewing, Beaverhead, and Uber Brew were sent the ingredients, and now they're ready to share their beer with the community.
And you can try those beers here at the Rhino on Wednesday night. Now, all of this might seem a bit removed from the devastation that happened in Northern California, but it's what's going to happen here that's going to help those victims get back on their feet.
All the money raised goes to the Sierra Nevada Relief Fund, a fund to help those impacted by the Camp Fire.
I think it's a wonderful idea. People like beer. People usually like to help people out. So you throw those two in the mix, and I think we've got a great social event set up for tomorrow night.
In Missoula, Kent Lutzen, MTN News.
Now, that event Kent mentioned will be held at 2 p.m. today at the Rhino. Supporters will be able to order a flight of the Resilience IPA, which will consist of 1 IPA from each of the Montana breweries. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the Noon News. Coming up, an arrest is made after a woman in a vegetative state gives birth in Phoenix. The details on that story when we come back. But first, Ed says it's going to be another snowy day out there. His full forecast right after the break.
Watching MTN News with Samantha Sullivan, Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh, and Farm and Ranch News from the Northern Ag Network. This is the Noon News on Q2, Montana's news leader.